This video is part of the War on Consciousness series. As I said before, the universe we're in is a game for immortal conscious beings. And this game, or games like it, have been going on for there's no word for the length of time. It's beyond quadrillions, so we have to use math. It's 105 to the 33rd power in years, which is 105 with 33 zeros behind it. And the number of players involved in this game is 10 to the 41, which is 10 with 41 zeros behind it. So the time scale of it is huge, and the complexity of it, because of the number of players, is huge. So the unraveling of all that is not going to be easy, but it's not impossible. The problem locally here is this planet is set up as a prison or a trap from which one cannot escape, and it was designed to last forever. And once in a while one wakes up and realizes this is not an optimum situation and would like to leave, but you can't. To shorten this down a bit, oil companies drilling under the North Sea. In the dirt they're pulling up, they found cooked human food and human utensils that are about 2 million years old. And our history goes back maybe 5,000 years written, 10,000 years architecture like the pyramids, etc., and maybe myth 20,000. So what happened during the other 2 million years? Discoveries in Africa lately point to civilization about 400,000 years ago. And before that, there's 9,600,000 years of no data. And we're told nothing happened during that time. Don't worry about it. This planet has been under external rule for a long, long time. And throughout the entire length of the game, which would be the 105 years with the 330 zeros behind it, a person gets more and more battered and broken. And to start a downward spiral of a being, you have to overwhelm him at his maximum power when he was free. Whatever would do that would have been a horrendous amount of power, or a treason, or both. And then you start packing on layers of the onion until, in our case, a being winds up on the surface of this planet running a meat body, wondering where his next paycheck is coming from. So, buried at the heart of this being is the original overwhelm when he was at full power. And everything else is a smaller problem than that. And this is the reason why people are aberrated and unsuccessful and enslaved, and why you can't just say to someone, smarten up, or join the revolution and let's go, because he's still suffering from the original overwhelm, which happened billions, trillions, quadrillions, gazillions. Turns out that the children have the only word for the scale of these things. They say it's just gazillions. Somewhere along this massive time scale, a spiritual weapon of war was developed. And in our terms, this is called an electronic implant. And the implant is implanted into the immortal spiritual being in such a way that he does not know it is there, but it affects how he operates. And it's all negative. It's the things that make a Stalin or a Hitler. And they are designed to last forever. It's like having a spiritual version of a kick me sign on your back. And people start kicking you, and then you decide, nobody likes me, so I must wreak revenge on everyone. And everyone is dramatizing their implants. They leak out into your persona and your vibrations and your operating condition. And this is the why that makes the world not make sense. This is the why of how can God let good things happen, bad things happen to good people. One of the main control mechanisms on this planet is the concept of scarcity. Things are scarce, therefore the environment is dangerous, and things are valuable. One of the things that's scarce is bodies. And the whole war on women is orders from above to disparage the body makers, to keep bodies scarce. And it's not an objective reason in any way, it's part of the suppression here. And is ordered from on high through their minions, whether they be high priests or religious leaders or abortionists. It takes a lot of guts to come here deliberately. You have to fight to get a body because they are scarce. and people like me who came here to try to do something, and the ground crew, you know who they are, have taken a step to try to do something about the situation here. And those who don't have bodies are less gutsy, less capable than those who came in here and got bodies. So the crowd of beings who channel information into this game are not to be taken as credible or serious for two reasons. They don't have the guts and the courage to come in here, and they are dramatizing in one form or another their suppressions and implants, and you're not going to get straight data from them. There's also travelers who come into the game have a lot more power than the people around here, and they mess with us. Similar to if you've ever had a dog that chases a ball and you make a motion like you've thrown the ball and you hold on to it and the dog goes running off and goes, huh? They play with us in that sense. They think it's funny. For us it's serious. And if you've ever seen one of the older Greek god movies from the 60s, they show the gods on Mount Olympus with a bird bath full of water, and they're watching the humans strive, and they help them or not based on their own personal emotions, which is what I'm saying. They may be gods, but they have family loyalties, and they're portrayed as getting angry, jealous, greedy, revengeful. So the channeling advocates are not somewhere you should be going for the solution to how to end the game. The actual situation is completely known, and I'm going to be laying that out in the next few videos. There are other people doing this as well, who I credit, but I want to make sure this information gets to my crowd on my channel. I realize a big problem here is most people you talk to don't think there's a problem, or don't know there's a problem, or don't want to know there's a problem. And I don't know what will happen with that. The ground crew continues to work to clear up the darkness. And 2,000 years ago we had the Roman Empire holding the West, everything around the Mediterranean, prisoner for taxes. And from a very small esoteric school there came a guy called Yeshua of Nazareth with this idea of peace and a brotherhood of man and decent treatment for people. And everyone knows how that went. But the idea has spread around the world over the last 2,000 years, which is the fecund field into which these newer global brotherhood of man ideas can be planted and flourish. And Jesus is quoted as saying that he was the Son of Man, not the Son of God. He was made the Son of God by the Romans in 335 AD. Meaning he was the product of mankind and was the next level of human. And he also said, all these things ye will do, and more. The abilities he had are taught in the esoteric schools. And at the same time that he was around doing these kinds of miracles, there were two other miracle workers. Someone called Hanina Bendoza and Honi the miracle worker, who are historical figures who were able to raise the dead and make it rain, etc. The missing ingredient has been filled in by the internet, because now we're able to do an end run around the suppression of information. And in a cosmic sense, it doesn't matter that much who the quote enemy is. But that we're going to have to actually do some confronting to throw off the historical overlord families who are coming from a psychopathic viewpoint. And this is the missing piece of data that makes people wonder, and it makes it a mystery, and a mystery, people will stick to a mystery, and it never gets solved. So Thomas Sheridan, I would imagine, is a ground crew person who has thrown off his mantle and revealed himself, and he's talking about psychopaths and how they operate and prey on the rest of us. We have an internal parasite within the human race, and they don't have any empathy. The frontal lobe cortex is not operating at the same degree as in a, quote, a normal person. They can't join in the game. I imagine they feel quite separated, and the solution is to observe us and use our humanity against us for their own gain. This needs to become common knowledge. So one can't get away from them if they're your boss or your wife or your mother or your brother, business partner, policeman, priest, senator, president, presidente. These people go for positions of power because they think a lot of themselves. They're usually quite intelligent and don't feel like they're part of the group. So for them, crime is just business, and if they get caught, there's no remorse. Because it's just business. I met by accident a big financial person on this planet. And I was trying to find out anything I could about the international money situation and international oil, etc. And the only thing that really stuck with me is he said there's no law against becoming a very, very rich and powerful person. If that's the game the guy wants to play, he's allowed to do that the same way people who don't do that are allowed to not do that. So, rich people are not the enemy of the 99%. It's the 1% of psychotics who are doing it dishonestly and hurting others on the way through. And much of our legal system is dedicated to making punishments available for people who cheat on the main system. And if that was working properly, it would be fine. But the judiciary and legal professions and lawmaking bodies are just loaded with psychotics. And they have a psychotic viewpoint and they speak to other psychotics. So it's very hard to enforce justice in a system where the person you're talking to is thinking, I maybe should try to prevent this from happening because I might be found out next. The situation here is rampant and seemingly a handmade Afghanistan rug of out-ethics activities that could never be unraveled. But apparently it can be. So we have, again, since this is a dualistic universe, two sides, which is either you're assisting people towards ending this game and freedom, or you are assisting in the interference with the ending of the game and freedom. So for those of you who listen to me and other people like me, vote with your feet and ask yourself, where do I work? Who am I working for? What am I doing? Am I participating in freeing the world, or am I participating in keeping people enslaved? We're not very far away from, actually we're nowhere away from slavery. We had, in the United States, it was only a couple hundred years ago, there was a war fought over whether they would have slaves or not. And the people who were for keeping them were for keeping them. And we have the international trade in enslaved women for prostitution. And we have the international trade in enslaved children for prostitution. And tucked up beside that is a $300 billion opiate business. And that's all hidden from the middle class. But if you just do a little investigation, because of the internet, which is a great tool, you'll be able to find out all about it in minutes. And you might say, well, what can I do about it? And I would say, well, if not you, who? Because everyone else is asleep, afraid, doesn't want to know, it's too stupid to know. So it falls to you.